religion were to change, Pharaoh would lose all his power. Musa's intention was far from desiring to rule Egypt. Musa's request was for the release of the children of Israel, who had been living under the most terrible conditions. In response to that request, Pharaoh said the prophet Musa had been raised in the palace and brought up the question of the man he had killed. Musa's response to all such mistreatment was one particular to a true believer, who unconditionally submits to his destiny and has a full grasp of its implications. He, Musa, said, "At the time I did it, I was one of the misguided, and so I fled from you when I was in fear of you. But my Lord gave me right judgment and made me one of the messengers." Finding himself in a difficult position in the face of the prophet Musa's powerful words and proofs, Pharaoh uttered the slander that Musa was mad. He also threatened the prophet Musa with prison unless he recognized Pharaoh's alleged divinity. At these words, the prophet Musa revealed the proofs, the sign of his prophethood. So he threw down his staff, and there it was, unmistakably a serpent. Pharaoh and those around him claimed that what they had seen could only be done by magic. That was because they were so blindly devoted to the pagan religion they had inherited from their ancestors. They set out to find rivals to the prophet Musa, whom they had accused of being a magician. News of this reached the greatest magicians of the land. The prophet Musa chose a festival as the time for the encounter. That was because he wished all the people of Egypt to witness the truth. Pharaoh's magicians were ready to display their skills. The ropes and staffs they threw down appeared to be genuinely moving towards the prophet Musa. These events are described in the Quran. Musa experienced in himself a feeling of alarm. We said, "Have no fear. You will have the upper hand. Throw down what is in your right hand. It will swallow up their handiwork." Their handiwork is just a magician's trick. Magicians do not prosper wherever they go. Then Musa threw down his staff. The result was terrifying for the magicians. As they were deceiving people by making them believe that things were actually moving around, the prophet Musa's staff swallowed up all their spells. The magicians threw themselves down in prostration. They said, "We believe in the Lord of Harun and Musa." This miracle by the prophet Musa was a means whereby the magicians came to believe in God. Yet Pharaoh was so arrogant that he threatened those sincere people who had chosen to believe with death. Pharaoh said, "Do you believe in him before I have authorized you? He is your chief, the one who taught you magic. I will cut off your hands and feet alternately and have you crucified on palm trunks. Then you will know for certain which of us has the harsher and longer-lasting punishment." The magicians' response to Pharaoh revealed the sincerity of their belief and their courage. They said, "We will never prefer you to the clear signs which have come to us, nor to him who brought us into being. Decide on any judgment you like. Your jurisdiction only covers the life of this world." We have had faith in our Lord so that he may forgive us for our mistakes and for the magic which you have forced us to perform. God is better and longer lasting. The magicians' defeat by the prophet Musa and their later turning to faith clearly revealed the twisted nature of the pharaonic system. Pharaoh was left with nothing rational to say, but stubbornly and arrogantly denied the existence of God and the prophethood of Musa. One after another, God sent various disasters upon Pharaoh and his subjects, a people obstinate in denial. First, a great period of drought began in Egypt, where water was of such major importance. Agricultural products diminished in availability, and famine ensued. Disasters were occurring everywhere in the land. In spite of them, however, Pharaoh and his inner circle did not abandon their perverse polytheistic practices. They were zealously devoted to the religion of their ancestors. Yet this was not all that befell them. God visited a great many disasters on this people. Following the drought, He sent powerful rains and storms, the like of which had never before been seen in Egypt. Locusts and lice demolished the fields and the crops. Insects covered the cities like black clouds. All the cities of Egypt were plagued by frogs. They were everywhere, in people's homes and on the streets. The water from the river Nile and from the wells turned red with blood. The people of Egypt were now racked by thirst. Despite everything, however, they still continued in their denial. As these torments followed on each other's heels, Pharaoh and those around him attempted to deceive the prophet Musa with a cunning that was doomed to failure. Whenever the plague came down on them, they said, "Musa, pray to your Lord for us by the contract he has with you. If you remove the plague from us, we will definitely believe in you and send the tribe of Israel away with you." But when we removed the plague from them, for a fixed term which they fulfilled, they broke their word. All these disasters described in the Quran have been confirmed by findings from archaeological excavations. The Ipuwer papyrus discovered in the early 19th century describes the scale of the catastrophe in Egypt. Plague is throughout the land, blood is everywhere,